Hey, well, welcome to kind of our first official, teaching segment of our new series in Groves, as we kind of have this, what we're calling a Shepherd's Guide, kind of a look at my summer and kind of my experience in nature, my sabbatical, kind of this combination like we talked about last week in the intro of Psalm 19, where you kind of see God's creation, but then you also see God's word, and how oftentimes if you can connect the two, it's pretty powerful. And so that's kind of the goal of this whole semester, is sharing some stories and kind of some of the road trip, if you will, as we talk about the different national parks. And so for me, it's interesting, on the very beginning of my trip through the U.S., I put in quite a few miles. The very first day was over 600 miles to get to Arkansas, and the second day was 700 or something miles, and then the third day I got up early to do another couple hundred miles so I could get to Big Bend National Park, which was kind of the first hiking park, I guess, if you will, that I went to. But it was interesting because on the first day, after the first day of travel, and then after the third day of travel plus hiking, there was kind of a common theme, if you will. Kind of an unusual national park is the first one I visited, which is in Arkansas. It's Hot Springs National Park, which when you get there, you're like, where's like the big rivers and exciting stuff, and mountains, and it's like a little town, and you're in the middle of this little town, and there's these hot springs, kind of these baths that are along there, these historic bathhouses, and you're like, this is not the normal national park. So what gives, and why is this a national park? But interestingly enough, it's actually the very first kind of national piece of land that was set aside by the government as a reservation for its preservation so that everybody could enjoy it, because for hundreds of years, some would argue thousands of years, the Native Americans, the Indians, they found this natural source of hot spring, these waters that came up, and they were just so soothing, and they were warm, and they were therapeutic. And so they kind of became this place where people would visit when they were sick or ill or just kind of needing some soothing. And the government realized in the early 1800s, in fact, I think it was 1832, Andrew Jackson, the guy on the $20 bill, he kind of passed this legislation to help reserve this area for everybody to enjoy, so that not just a few people would enjoy it and have the land, but everybody could come there. And so for over the next 100+ years, Hot Springs became kind of this central location where people from all around the U.S. would come in by train or by whatever else, because these baths were soothing to them. This water they felt like was healing. And so they constructed all these bathhouses kind of along the river where the hot water was kind of pouring out of the earth. And you go there and you see like they had gymnasiums and these super nice baths and just like this luxury resort. It became the spa of America, and people again would come from miles around. If you had, arthritis or whatever it was, different ailments, and like nobody could help you, you would go there just to get some relief, just to soak in the baths and to kind of be in nature and kind of to do the paths, but mostly because of what they believe were these healing waters. It's kind of interesting when you look at the story of Jesus in John chapter 5. He goes to what's called the pools of Bethesda, which is in Jerusalem, where they would bring all the sick and the lame and those that nobody could fix and nobody could heal, and they would sit by the water. If you know the story, they would wait for the water to move, because they had this legend, this belief that the first person in at that point would be healed. And so anybody who nobody could fix would just lie there waiting. And Jesus goes there and he comes across an invalid who had been sitting there for 38 years. And he sees all these people and he has compassion on them, but this is the guy who's been there most likely the longest. And he literally just asked this guy one question. He says, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to be well? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be better? And this guy just starts making excuse after excuse after excuse. Well, I can't get down there, and nobody's here to help me, and I can't, all this stuff. And just like, but do you want to get well? And I often ask this question of us, do you want to be well? Do we want to be healthy? On this past Sunday morning, we talked about Jesus being the living water and how our bodies are 60% water, and we need water. We thirst for water. We have to have water. Without water, we die. And so we need it physically to intake Jesus, the living water, but we also need Jesus to be the soothing water to help us when we're struggling in our ailments. And so that's kind of what Hot Springs was. That's kind of what the pools of Bethesda was. That's also on the third day after I had done my first lot of hiking in Big Bend National Park, 13+ miles after driving 800 miles to get there from Arkansas. It's like right on the Rio Grande River, there's a hot springs. And so it's just such a beautiful thing. That first day after driving 600 plus miles, just to get into the soothing baths and just to let the heat and all that just kind of wash away and just be able to relax and to calm yourself. Or at Langford Hot Springs, that's what it's called in Big Bend, just to sit in this water, stick my feet in the water after they've just been, tired from hiking and tired from driving, and just to soothe the muscles and just to relax and just to calm ourselves down. So I think there's something to this idea of Jesus not just being the spring of living water that we need to drink, but we also need to sit in him. We need to sit in him and just allow him to soothe us, allow his word to kind of just seep over us, to wash us clean in that sense. I don't know why this is true, but national parks, most of them do not have showers. So when you camp there, you just get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, nastier and nastier and nastier, and you can't clean yourself, right? But Big Bend actually has one shower where you can throw your quarters in there. I think there's 2 for the men, 2 for the women in the entire national park. And just to get all that just off of you. And just to kind of just soothe in the warm waters, or take a hot shower, or take a hot bath, and just to have Jesus kind of just comfort and soothe you. And so I think there's something about that we need. In the midst of all of our rushing, all of our chaos, the world around us, not only do we need to drink the living water, but we just need to sit in it and to allow it to wash us, to baptize us, to clean off the junk, and just let the warmth just kind of, teach us and show us the way and comfort us. And so we're going to talk about a lot of different things today, but I just want you to think about, as we start off kind of this journey, how Jesus is not just the living water we drink, but the living water we just need to sit in to soothe us in kind of the ailments of our life. Like, how far are we willing to go? People, when it came to Hot Springs National Park, traveled hundreds of miles to get there just to sit in the hot water. How far are we willing to go? Are we willing to set apart time and space just to sit with God, to sit with Jesus, to allow him to soothe our sore muscles and to relieve our pains? So that's kind of the first thought I just want to leave you with on our road trip, The Shepherd's Guide.